What's up? I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about Alan Wake 2. I don't like calling these videos reviews because I genuinely feel like there's people out there that are more articulate and better with wording and all that shit, but my vocabulary is very limited. Plus, I'm also dyslexic, so that's probably plays something into it as well. Maths and English, pretty shit. So I played Alan Wake, platinumed Alan Wake. It took me 33 hours in total. I did miss one of the missable trophies right at the start in the police station in the break room where you had to watch one of these Kolosko Brothers out videotapes. But I finished the game and just went back and just breezed through it and got the final trophy. So that's platinum number 41. Getting a little bit addicted to platinums, I must admit. I never really used to sort of be that asked about them. I come from a time where platinum trophies and achievements didn't exist. And, you played a video game and that was it. You played it, put it on the shelf. You could play it again or you could get rid of it, sell it, or whatever. But I do find it quite sort of rewarding in a way to get a platinum. It feels like a little sense of achievement. I don't do it for every single game. There are games where I think platinums are too hard, but this was a relatively easy platinum. Took me 33 hours. Did it all in one playthrough. If you don't count the me going back to the start of the new game to get one that I missed at the very start. So you can do this. You can get the platinum all the way through. There is a missable trophy which I looked up because I always look up for missable trophies. But yeah, I think Elden Ring destroyed my platinum sort of passion for a while. I actually had to play. I got the Elden Ring platinum, and it took me. I don't know how long it took me actually. I'd have to look it up. But I had to play the game 3 times because they actually patched out the cheat you could do. There was a cheat you could do where you could just save it and then you could sort of cheese the platinum. So I did it legit. Played the game 3 times to get it, and it absolutely destroyed me, that platinum. So it's got a really easy platinum. I absolutely love this game. I thought it was great. What can you say about it? It's one of the best, if not the best, survival horror games I've played. It's picks up right from the first game. I would strongly recommend playing the first game if you haven't played the second game. The first game is available on PlayStation Plus Premium, I think, or the middle tier. You can play the remastered version of the first game. Strongly recommend going to play that. I don't really want to go too much into the story because it's sort of like, I don't want to. This is sort of a spoiler-free discussion. But the game is dark. It's gritty. It reminded me. It takes place between 2 people. Obviously, Alan Wake and Agent Saga, who's the FBI agent, who's trying to she's investigating this cult, and the cult's linked to Alan Wake because he's been missing for 13 years. If you played the last game, and their stories intertwine with each other, and it's really interesting. The start of the game reminded me a lot of True Detective. You've got the 2 FBI agents, which is Saga and Agent Casey, who's actually Sam Lake, who's the creator of Alan Wake, and he's the sort of the big honcho over at Remedy. He's also the character model for Max Payne in Max Payne 1 and 2. So he's in it a lot, but his voice, because he's from Sweden originally, his voice is actually the guy who voiced Max Payne in the original games. So it's very much like you're playing alongside Max Payne, which I really liked, because he's like this sort of gritty detective. And you investigate a body. You've got all this sort of crime scene stuff that you've got to do. If you press the touchpad, you go into Agent Saga's mind space, where you've got this sort of, where you've got an evidence board where you link it with string. You've got all these collectible things that you can collect. You've got profiling. You can profile witnesses, and she's really good at getting into people's minds and figuring out and all that sort of stuff. And the evidence takes you to different, it's really, really, really good. I enjoyed the sort of working out the evidence and the plot. Doesn't really take a lot of working out because you can just pick a piece of evidence and just try it on every single bit until it fits. So there is that sort of thing. But if you really want to sort of take your time with this game, you can really sort of get into the sort of thought of like, well, that evidence is linked to that bit, and it'll create this sort of tether to this other bit of evidence, and that'll unlock more of the story. So there's that. There's a mind space for Saga. There's also like a weird mechanic for Alan Wake when you go to his side, because you can switch between the two as long as you go to a janitor's cupboard, which is like, it's called a break room, where you've got these flasks and you can save your game, and there's a shoebox where you can store items, and then there's like a puddle next to a janitor's bucket, and it says you can switch, you can go to Alan Wake's game or switch back to Saga's. When you're in Alan Wake's game, obviously he's in this sort of other dimension. He's trapped in this other dimension and he's trying to get out, and Saga's trying to find Alan Wake. So it's really, really good. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was brilliant. But when you're playing as Alan Wake, you've got this sort of light bulb staff, and the first time you use it's amazing. You basically go under these lights and it'll say you can press and hold X. So you hold X and you'll suck the light out of the bulb into the the dog's here, great, into the staff, and it'll change. So where there isn't a door will just pop up, or an alleyway will just pop up. It's weird. It'll switch between these different things. So like a pathway will open where there wasn't one, if you know what I mean. And you can do that multiple times through a level. He's also got this thing where he goes into these areas and they're called scenes. So he's got a version of the plot board, and you can go into a scene. But when you figure out more of the story, you get different scenes. So there's like subway entrance, and it'll say in the bottom corner subway entrance. So you know you're at a scene where you can change reality. So you go into your plot board, you click on subway entrance, and however many post-it notes you've got, it might say Cult of the Lamb or something like that. You can change the scene, and when you click the post-it note, like a faded image of like Alan Wake typing in real time, like a real actor, and then the scene will totally change, and there'll be like a different way to go or a different piece of evidence and stuff like that. So it's all about mind altering and changing reality, and they pull it off really well. So Remedy games like Max Payne and Control and all that sort of stuff, and Alan Wake, they are sort of renowned for bridging the gap between gameplay, like video gameplay, and real world actors. And having these things where you can sort of see the actors in the game whilst you're playing it. It's really strange. But there's parts where you can go and do these echoes, and you've got to line up these two silhouettes, and then it'll in Alan Wake's story, you're sort of learning about the story that he's written, but he's forgotten about what he's written. So it's almost like a dark, gritty, sort of Sin City sort of novel. And you've got this character that he's created, which is basically Max Payne. It's not Max Payne, but it sounds like Max Payne, looks like him as well. And it's very sort of like he's talking about himself in the third person, and you're going through all these murders and stuff with him as well. So it's really really clever. There's a point where he goes onto this talk show, and it's actually you just watching a video of these real actors in this talk show, like a Jimmy Fallon sort of thing. And it switches between sort of real people and gameplay as well, and it's just really strange, but I really enjoyed it. I don't want to go too much into the story, but it crosses paths, it intertwines, you can switch between the characters. It's a survival horror game, but there's not a lot of combat. I wouldn't say this is a very heavy combat game. It's more story focused. There are enemies, there are, like in Alan's side of the story, there are these sort of shadowy figures that will just sort of like hover about, and some of them will attack you and some of them don't, so that creates another piece of sort of dread where you're like, is this one going to attack me? And the way you sort of fight them is you've got a torch, you just hold the torch on them. You obviously need to collect batteries for your torch, but you shine the light on them, and sometimes they'll just disappear, sometimes it'll get rid of this darkness shield, and there'll be this sort of ghostly character that you then can kill with bullets. It's the same with Saga's side as well, but her enemies are more. You can actually see these sort of people like husks, and they're like, they look like sort of zombies, but they move really fast, and you've got to shine the light on them to get rid of the darkness shield, and then you can shoot them. And there's like different variants of enemies. There's ones that have got really big, heavy like pipes and stuff. And there's wolves. You can fight these wolves on Saga's story. These dark wolves. These animals that have been taken over by the darkness. And you've got flare guns. You've got flares. You've got flare rockets. You've got flashbangs. You've got canisters to throw and blow them up. You've got, on Saga's side, it's very more. Saga's side is more combat focused. I feel she's got more. Each character has three or four weapons. So you've got, each one has a pistol, each one has a flare gun, each one has a sawn-off shotgun, each one has a pump action shotgun, and I think Saga actually has a hunting rifle. I don't think Alan Wake gets that one. So the combat is more heavy focused on Saga's story. Alan Wake's is more like he's sort of in this weird mind place where, like, this dimension where he's just getting fucked with constantly. But he does have some combat, but the enemies are sort of quite limited for Alan Wake's side of the story. But it's proper survival horror. I mean, there were times where I had no ammo. I was struggling for ammo. I was struggling for batteries. I was just dodging. You can press L1 to dodge attacks and stuff. So there was that sort of side of it as well. The sort of like dread where you sort of like, shit, I've got nothing here. I need to just sort of breeze through it and try and, dodge my way past a few enemies. So that was cool as well. The music's really good. There's a band in it called Gods of Asgard, which there's a bit in it, well, I won't spoil, but it's amazing, where it's an Alan Wake sort of side of the story, and it's got this really catchy song. I did experience a game-breaking bug. I have posted it on the channel. It was in the Coffee World Fairground. It's been patched since, but that was a game-breaking bug for me. That was like, I couldn't get past it, and luckily, if you watch the video, I looked up how to get past this thing, and it was all to do with, basically there was a roller coaster ride that you're supposed to press a button, and the roller coaster, it's like people sit in them and go up and down. It's like a little Rocket Kid ride, and it's supposed to spin around, and you're supposed to press this button, and it's supposed to lift up, and you can go underneath the roller coaster. But all these other roller coaster cars were just passing through this stationary car, and it was just going through them. So this one wasn't lifting up. And the way that I got past it was I had to move a wheelbarrow to get it there and walk up the wheelbarrow, and slowly it sort of glitched through it. And it was lucky that I could do that, otherwise I'd have to wait for the patch. But that was a game-breaking bug. Couldn't progress the game if I hadn't figured out how to get past that. So that's going to sort of lose points on it for me. But it wasn't a massive sort of a massive issue. Another thing that I didn't like was sort of the terrain. Sometimes there's a path that you think you're already on a path, and you think you can carry on going down that path, but you'll get snagged on a rock or a twig or a branch or a bush, and you're sort of like, come on, can we not just walk through the bush? So there's that, and this is me splitting hairs, because I didn't really have a lot of issues with the game. I really enjoyed the game. I thought the story was great. The gunplay is class. The switching between real actors and gameplay was awesome. Really easy platinum. And there's going to be a New Game Plus, where the New Game Plus is going to add more content. There's hopefully going to be some DLC. And the world as well, there's like, you've got Bright Falls, you've got Watery, and then on Alan Wake's side, it's like New York, but it's like you've got a subway station. There's all these different alleyways you can go down, and there's a cinema. There's his old apartment where he's trying to sort of reconnect with his wife that he's not seen for ages. And then you've got this villain called Mr. Scratch, who is basically Alan Wake's doppelganger, but an evil version of him and stuff. So it's really good. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's definitely 100%. It's been nominated for Game of the Year through the Game Awards. There's 6 games that have been nominated. I think it was Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate, Spider-Man 2, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Brothers, and I can't remember the other one. There was 6, but I can't remember the other one. It might come to me before we end the video, but never mind. But I genuinely feel like this is Legend of Zelda, Super Mario, Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate, Spider-Man, and no idea. Anyway, but yeah, it's 100%. I think this totally deserves to be in the conversation for Game of the Year. It's not my Game of the Year. Tears of the Kingdom for me is I've never played anything mechanically just alone that has made me sort of think about puzzles in that game. So Tears of the Kingdom for me is, maybe I'm being a bit biased because I love Zelda, but Tears of the Kingdom for me is my Game of the Year, personal Game of the Year. If this got Game of the Year at the Game Awards, I wouldn't be angry about it. I mean, I wouldn't be angry about anything because the Game Awards isn't, and I'm going to go on a rant, but the Game Awards is an industry-based award show. Our vote makes up 10% of the vote, which means fuck all, basically. It's voted for by the industry, for the industry. The only good thing about watching the Game Awards is you get all these really cool announcements. But it's not an award show for us, the gamers. I don't feel the announcements are, but the show itself is for the industry, I think. But if this won the Game Awards, I'd be absolutely made up for it because I genuinely feel like it's this. I mean, this year alone has been insane for games. It's crazy what's out there for the Game Awards. I don't really know. That 6 games annoy me now. I can't remember what that fucking game is. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but we'll try and have a quick look before we end the video because it's going to irritate me. Where is it? I know a lot of people are upset. Oh, Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4. Which is a remake, which I don't think should count. I think maybe Hogwarts Legacy should have got a place on there. Or Dead Space. I think Dead Space was better than Resident Evil 4. But that's the 6 games there. Sorry for slowing the video down there. I just wanted to make sure that I was getting that right there. I've done alright catching up with the games this year. The only one out there I haven't played is Baldur's Gate. Every single one of them I've played. And sort of finished. But yeah, Alan Wake, strongly recommend it. I think it's really, really good. I think the attention to detail as well. There's all these sort of, it breaks the fourth wall and everything. There's all these different adverts and different writers' videos you can watch, and it's just a really gritty, dark horror story, and I would strongly recommend it. So that's my sort of thoughts on Alan Wake there. If I had to score it, it'll probably be a 4 out of 5. On the old scale, I would say 4 out of 5. I wouldn't say it's a 4. I wouldn't say it's a 5 out of 5 because the game breaking bug and some of the sort of little sort of things. There were a few other little glitches here and there, but a strong 4 out of 5 for me. I really, really enjoyed the game. So I hope everyone is having a great week. I hope if it's on your list to play the first one first. And then jump in Alan Wake if you can. It's a great ride. See you later.